long time ago, we don't have any so-called management skill. They based on their experience, okay, to run the nation or rather to survive on their own. Okay, nobody will teach them. All right. As time go by, okay, we will change. Human, as what they say, as what their historical research is, human is a super being of all animal. Right? We are also animal, but we are the high class animal. Right? So in that aspect, thing that we done before is constantly reviewed by us, by we all human with the high mental capacity of high IQ, so that we can evolve, changing for the better. And that's where, after the early civilization, where the military all using bow and arrow and sword, now we come to the industrial revolution, where there is a sort of a transformation, all right? Transformation of economy. The way that we do things and the way that they do things now is very different. That will involve a lot of thinking and management. Later we look at it. Next thing is a classical and scientific management, idea concept towards science. Okay, more related to science way of doing things. Human relationship, talk about human management. System, talk about the system theory of how do we do things in a more appropriate way. All right. Contingency approach is the way that we do things with additional so-called program to back you up whatever you do, right? So the classical management theory is thought to have originated in 1900 and dominated management thinking into the 1920s, focusing on the efficiency of work process. They have three schools of thinking. Scientific thinking, which look at the best way to do a job. Bureaucratic, which focus on rules and procedure, hierarchy, and clear division of labor. Okay. Administrative management, we emphasize the flow of information within the organization. And this is true. Okay. All this while we are doing management is all the same. All right. So the only thing, how best do you want to manage it, the way that that suit your company. For example, you look at scientific way, later I will explain to you. Bureaucratic, right? In Singapore, in everywhere, we follow rules and regulation, right? So a minister, a prime minister, okay, the boss is the people who, all the ministers report to him, right? Same as India, okay, all the ministers all report to the prime minister. Okay, this is a bureaucratic way. This is the way that the nation function the best efficiency. All right. So in Myanmar, you can see now, because now it's a military junta. All right. Who report to them? It's all the military people report to the general. All right. We haven't come into the democratic way of working in Myanmar. Right. Hopefully this military junta can end. Right. Administrative management, we emphasize the flow of information. This is where the function of an organization need a cross flow of information from inter-department, so that everybody know about it, and know what to do, how to do, and all these things refer back to the rules and procedure and hierarchy of organizing. All right. So take note of that. Okay. Scientific management. Frederick Taylor is known as the father of scientific management. He emphasized, his approach emphasized on empirical research. That means based on his way of thinking and thought, to increase the organization productivity by increasing the efficiency of the production process. Okay, this is what we call scientific management, right? In the United States, skilled labor are in short supply at the beginning of the 20th century. The only way to expand productivity was to raise the efficiency of workers. Okay, scientific management's theory state that jobs should be designed, all right, so that each worker have a well-specific, okay, well-controlled task and specific procedure and method for each of which are strictly followed by the people, and so that your production cannot go quality control issue. So your quality is always maintained if you have a standard way of manufacturing, right? And this is what today, in terms of electronic, in terms of production process, mechanical process, etc., in terms of car production, all the same, right? Scientific method is today we constantly practice to yield the efficiency of the company, right? What do you think? Scientific management today, what are the scientific management that people are thinking now? They're thinking about what? Information technology, all right? They talk about artificial intelligence, right? They talk about building automation system. They talk about control process, where they control certain process by machine. So people no need to work, just monitor only. So there's a lot of scientific way in the present world, in Singapore, in everywhere in the world. We are trying to improve our livelihood, so that every one of us in this world, okay, on this world, have enough to eat, enough to survive, okay, in this dramatic world, okay. So history of management, what is management? Food for thought. The case of soup restaurant dispute between supervisor and kitchen helper. You are the consultant hired to advise the management on the case. What are the key issues from the management perspective? Let's discuss about this. Okay. So example, this is the case study. All right. Soup restaurant. All right. In Singapore, we have soup restaurant. All right. Dispute between supervisor and kitchen helper. Take for instance, like this type of thing. From the thing that you can see, the supervisor want it to be fast. Okay. And the kitchen helper, they have to prepare the vegetable, wash the plate, everything. So there are people, the kitchen helper do many tasks, where the supervisor only open mouth provide the lift service to ensure that the procedure, the system being executed according to the company policy. So you are the consultant to advise the management. So what do you need to advise? So in that aspect, you have to look at the scientific way, how to improve the efficiency without destroying the kitchen helper morale, the kitchen helper frustration, and how the supervisor going to manage them in a way that both parties are happy about it. Okay, so the key issue here is about management. Okay, how the supervisor, in terms of supervisory experience, does he have enough experience to manage this kitchen helper? Second one, do this kitchen helper, the work activity, does the supervisor have this prior experience of a kitchen helper? Otherwise, he cannot understand why the kitchen helper is the performance is no good. Okay. Third thing, whether the management procedure, the process, okay, is enough to cater for the kitchen helper, the way that they work. Is there a procedure of telling the kitchen helper how to cut vegetable, how to wash plate, etc.? So these are all the management perspective that you look at it. So in terms of management, it's a system, okay? a system detect, right, the process of a company, process flow of system, where the way they manage is by bureaucratic management. That means to say it's a way of hierarchy management. Okay, this is the way that management should function. All right. And now you come to this key issue. You have to look at the kitchen helper. What sort of experience they have? If they don't have, what is the supervisor intention to do? First thing is conduct a training. All right, get professional to come in to help the kitchen helper, to train the kitchen helper in terms of safety, in terms of hygiene, in terms of work procedures, etc., etc. Then the supervisor had to learn about management of the people, right? Could it be a autocratic management? Could it be a participative management? All these things, okay? All right. So history of management is being discovered by this few writers, the classical and scientific management, Patrick Taylor, Frank Lydon. This one you can go to website to look for it. Okay, I'm not going to explain much. Okay, Henry Gann, okay, Henry Foyer, Linda Irwich, okay, Bridge and Max Weber, right? So Frederick Taylor as an example here, they say about focus on efficiency, because he is a scientific guy. Working method principle is to have a scientific approach, a systematic approach, right? That means to say how you do things, there must be a system for you to do things, all right? Like for example now, you make a cup of coffee, there must be a system way of making a cup of coffee, right? So cannot be the other way around, all right? So there is a way of doing things, and today world we are looking at this way, right? For example, you guys are maybe for Lintan is a mechanical engineer, right? So you want to design a compressor or a pump, okay? What do you look at? Systematic way of looking at it. First thing, before the mechanical part, you have to look at the specification, the prerequisite of what the client want. A pump that you want to deliver a certain volumetric flow, right? When you know the volumetric flow, you know the pressure, you can see at the pump capacity already. So from the pump capacity, you back calculated the power supply you need, what is the size of the motor. Okay, 3 kilowatt, 5 kilowatt, all these things you can do, right? So this is a way of systematic and scientific approach. That means to say there's evidence, there's proof of doing this job, okay? One man, one task specifies specialization of task. Of course, nowadays, when you produce a handphone, not one person produce one piece of handphone, but it's a multiple part that people set up in the production floor. Okay, this guy do so-called IC chip. This one do testing. This one do quality check, right? So each person have his different task. This is what we call scientific way of management, all right? Distinct separation of managers and worker. So in this philosophy, in terms of Patrick Taylor, they always believe manager only give direction. Manager only instruct people what to do, how to do, and ensure that there is no flaws in the system. But the worker just perform as instructed. All right. Okay. So next one, Frank and Lydon Gilbert, efficiency through measurement. Micro motion study, time study, standard time and motion study. Okay. So you can see that Frank and Lydon Gilbert, they do all this study because they, in today's scientific world, they're talking about time study. Also the work study, how you do the work most efficient way, rather than do a job that you're not efficient. That means not efficient is you repeat and repeat the job. Cannot be. You only do one time, that's it. So the time study is how efficient you are. You produce this piece of work, how many hours, how many minutes or second even. Okay, this is where measurement come in. When you talk about quality also, right? Quality, what is the quality standard that you want, your customer want, right? Henry Gann, workers should have more discretion in this stuff. Graphical presentation of work and performance, right? That is where today we talk about Gantt chart. Gantt chart can schedule your work, can record your work, and can present, okay, your performance and your work, how much time you require, what is the essential manpower, time, work time required to produce certain product. So let's say you want to produce certain thing, your boss may say, okay, you list down the process, how you do step by step. You can use the Gantt chart to produce the system, okay, to show that this product manufactured to numbers of day, okay, or the spare part used, etc., etc. Okay. Henry Ford is basically a planning man. It's a management concept when the management principle is being developed by him. Okay, management consists of planning, forecasting, organizing, commanding, and coordinating and controlling. Okay, so Henry Ford said that, okay, when you want to start a production, how are you going to plan? Okay, you plan the method, who is involved, the manpower, right? The cost of producing this material. So all these things you have to plan out. Well, in terms of cost, they talk about budget. What kind of budget do you want to have to produce number of product that you want? Okay, what are the people that you involve in this planning? Okay, the forecaster, the planner, the engineer, the production manager, etc., etc. Okay, this is where planning come about, and with this planning, you can use the Gantt chart to come out with the scheduling. All right, that is your forecasting. Okay, how much you expect with this manpower? That's it. 10 manpower can produce 100 parts. Right, so you calculated already. 10 people can produce 100 parts. Can I produce the same manpower, make it to 120 parts? That's where a lot of coordination, organizing, commanding, and controlling. All right. So this is very important in a factory operation, in a construction management operation, in a facility management, in a restaurant management. Right. Okay. Max Weber, rules and decision, separation of official and owner, right? So you don't interfere. The owner, usually they don't work together with the people there, all right? They employ people, you have the bureaucracy system, you have the authoritative system that tell you what to do and how to do. The owner will only observe, right? Other studies, human relationship school, talk about technology, employee social need are interdependent. Okay, this one is very important because end of the day, your people cannot work for you without concerning of his personal social needs. All right. So employee, employer now, they call it what? Work-life balance. You must have a work-life balance. You spend number of hours you work, and you must spend number of hours to rest and be with your family. That's where your work-life balance is all about. That is where the social need for the employee is important because it helps the company, okay, to become more productive. Because once employee have their social need met, they will be very happy. Then they can go back to work more concentrated, more productive. All right. So other study like conflict of conflict resolution also management should have. Okay, that is where the manager or the supervisor have to be trained by the HR management to how to resolve conflict resolution, right? So in terms of training of this conflict resolution, you talk about cultural perspective, attitude, character, all right, or many other things, right? So your coordination and control, of course, how to do the coordination and control, you must have a production process procedure. You have a procedure stating that how to coordinate with the engineer, with the QC people, quality control people, etc., etc. Okay, so this is very important, and your procedure list out what you should not do, what should you do. This is where the law of situation is all about. In other words, the law of disciplinary action that you are going to take if employee misbehave, not according to the procedures or process or management. Okay. Okay, system theory, key concept is what are the input. System theory is talk about the whole system. For example, now you want to morning. Okay, you talk about system theory. You want nighttime, you go back to your room, then you say, okay, today I sleep, right? So you nighttime you sleep. So morning, what should you do? So in your mind, you already think of what to do already. So that is the input in your mind. Okay, morning wake up, what should I do? I go toilet, wash myself up. Okay, after that I change to a working clothing. Right. Then from here, I going to go outside to do your work, and finally you come back with the output. What you have done, how many hours you have been paid. Okay, then you come to home, you take your shower, all these things. So there is a system for you to follow. So system theory is all more on procedural system, more on management way of doing things that you yourself or your company want. All right. And there is always a system for you to run your daily operation. Okay, take note of that. Okay, subsystem within the organization can be value subsystem, technical subsystem, psychological, structural subsystem, and management subsystem. All right. So this one, take for example, you talk about technical subsystem. So you look at the production process. What sort of technicality do they want in terms of engineering specification, in terms of production process, in terms of work study, method study of a subsystem? That means a part that you produce, how much time do you need? And what are the part of component? The component could be a steel, all right? Iron, a steel. What sort of steel? It could be stainless steel, it could be carbon steel. And in terms of carbon steel, or in terms of stainless steel, what sort of carbon stainless steel you have? Okay, what is the purity of this stainless steel? So there are many subsystem that if you are involved in it, you have to know. All right. A management system is for the supervisor. The supervisor subsystem, or the supervisor, once they are promoted to supervisor, what should they go through? What should they learn? Finally, they come out from the learning process, they will manage the people. All right. So these are all system theory whereby in a company, they should have all these systems put in place so that the company can run very, very smooth. Okay. Okay, contingency approach, focus on environment and external issue. Organizations are subjected to rapid changing environment. Different problem situation require different managerial solution. All right. Highly dynamic and diverse organization need higher degree of differentiation and integration. High performance organization can resolve conflict better than their competitor. Highly uncertain environment lead to middle lower manager managing the situation. So what it says is contingency is something that you never think of. Okay, something that is never think of, the whole production suddenly stop. Okay, what should you do at that juncture? Okay, let's say you run the production process. Suddenly there is a power failure. The whole company shut down everything. So what should you do? So this is the contingency plan that you will also develop during the management so-called planning. That's where your management planning process is very, very important. Okay, so if you don't practice this management planning, okay, to cater for this contingency problem, then when things happen, you just don't know what to do. All right, so like here you say that if you have a system, let's say, look, high performing organization can resolve conflict better than their competitor. It's true. Okay, that means to say you have a disciplinary procedure, you have a conflict management procedure. In it, they tell you what to do, how to do, okay, and who do you report to in this case happen. Okay, so you will know. So the contingency approach is let you be preempt yourself. That means be prepared for the worst situation. Then thing will resolve by itself. All right. You look at all over the world, like for example, now you heard about Sri Lanka. Okay, Sri Lanka have an economic crash. Okay, that time because of corruption, right? And this corruption, okay, the government never realized that this corruption can be so widespread across the government body until everything go down, and they don't have this contingency approach to resolve this, right? So now you compare to if you are familiar with Malaysia last time without the Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, last time other Prime Minister, you can see the whole economy go down because there is no people thinking of a contingency plan, how to do if this case happen. In Malaysia now, we have with the leadership of Mr. Anwar Ibrahim, now he can control the situation. People corrupt, he catch people, he do whatever thing to improve the economy. Right? Same as Singapore, when we have this COVID-19, we have this lockdown, right? We have this circuit breaker lockdown. What the government do? Trying to generate economy by giving some money to the people, all right, so that they can go through this economic hardship. And today now the economy is getting better. The employment rate is getting higher and higher, better and better, right? So these are all the contingency plan they put in place. When you are ordinary citizen, you don't know. So let's say you are in a company, your company do A product, right? So what happened is, as I said, there is a power failure, the whole plant down. So the next week, how are you going to supply to the customer? Because you sign contract, there's a supply agreement that every week they supply how many parts, 1,000 parts or whatever part sent to the customer. So you have this problem. But even your contingency plan, you have created such a way that in case of plant failure, in case of you cannot meet the supplier demand, you have alternative source. That means to say you already signed a contract with one of the competitor or maybe very friendly competitor. He agreed to supply to your customer. That means to say the bonding between you and the customer is always maintained. Then the business is always there. Okay, this is what we call contingency plan. Right? Contingency approach is a must. In every day in your life, you must think about this. Today you can be a millionaire, billionaire. Right? 1 week later you can be a what? You can be a poor man. I think he has proven recent case of China people. Those billionaires now become very poor. Why? Because economic situation, internal politics. Okay, they go catch for corruption, etc., then go jail. Right. So if you are a billionaire in China, what should you do? What should you think so that you can cater a bit of sum of money when you get caught or what, you can go out. Right. So a lot of things that you change. Saying that Myanmar, you see, Aung San Suu Kyi, can he do anything when the military junta come into Myanmar? Okay. Does he have a contingency plan? If she long ago have this contingency plan, okay, I think she out of the country, not in Myanmar, under arrest. I can tell you, because people like her is very confident that Myanmar people will support him, sir, but eventually he end up in jail. All right, or like Thaksin, the Prime Minister of Thailand. You see, he very smart. This person have contingency plan. When the military want to take over, he escaped, and his sister also escaped out now in Dubai. The government cannot touch him. He enjoy life. You see. So these are the contingency plan you can see in your present situation. How are you going to be prepared for all this unnecessary happening on yourself or your company? Okay, if you own a company. Okay. Recently, Japanese MNC, they invest in China also have a lot of problems. Same. If you don't have plan, better don't go invest. So suppose now you have a 100,000. All right, you want to invest in stock market. Okay, but you cannot predict how the stock market. So were you to put? You think that you put 100,000 because your friend said, "Hey, the stock market is going to grow. Put in 100,000 in." After 1 week, loss. You got zero. How? So you must have your own personal contingency to plan how to ensure that the money is not lost totally. All right. Okay. Okay, what is change? Now come to change. Organization change. Any alteration in people, structure, or technology of an organization. Okay. And this change is going to have an effect on the employee, on the company market situation, okay, and also on the company profitability. Okay, when you do some changes, also the company will incur additional costs to get the organization changed. And this is very important. Why? Because change is a constant. Okay, every day you have change, right? Characteristic of change. Okay, is constant change yet varies in degree and direction. Yes, all right. So depend on the company need of how do you do your changes in such a way that it benefit all your employees. Okay, and to a certain degree, the expectation is very high, right? Produces uncertainty, yet it's not completely unpredictable. All right, changes normally we can see, but the problem is how are you going to affect the changes that don't threaten the employee employment? Now, this is very important because some company they do changes. After they change already, they find that 30, 20, 100 people, they are no use to the company. Then they retrench them. Okay, and this is commonly happen. Okay, how does organization going to do changes where don't affect the employee? That is a question mark. Okay, create both threat and opportunity. Okay, so you look at the chain. It's necessary. You do a SWOT analysis. Okay, SWOT analysis is talk about about threat and opportunity. Okay, managing change is an integral part of the manager. Everybody is involved in changing. Okay. So forces of change, as you can see that they are external and internal. Okay, changes is always on. That means to say there must be changes. Okay, every day in our life there will be changes. So external forces based on the company perspective is marketplaces, government law and regulation, and this is very constant. Law and regulation keep on changing because the company, the economy change. Singapore government keep on changing the law and regulation, right? Technology, yes, change. Now people are using GPT, okay, using technology to act as a human, to show you something, right? So these are the technology that later on, no need human being to manage a factory. All are using robot, using ChatGPT to manage the whole system. They use the AI to transfer the information to the ChatGPT so that they can manage the factory themselves. No need human being already. And this thing will happen, I don't know. 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, I don't know. All right. And labor market. Okay, labor market in Singapore, for example, we are talking about younger generation and older generation. So there is a conflict of younger and older generation. Younger people, they are more affluent, they are more computer savvy, but in older generation, to ask them to learn computer, sometimes they find very difficulty. So there is a labor crash in such a way. So how are you going to adjust if you are a company that employ process using a lot of computerization? So how are you going to employ a senior citizen? Right? Because Singapore labor shortage is a lot. Okay. So as you can see now, if you talk about IA, normally all the computer system, cyber security, etc. All these people we take from where? In Singapore, from India. Most of them from India. Right? So when you have this labor from India, there's also local people are very angry. They complain. Why always take people from there? Why can't you train the local employee to become computer savvy? Okay, there's a way of doing things, but you can see that there's always a conflict, right? And today you can see economic change. Last time, years ago, Singapore depended on what? Manufacturing, factory production. And today, factory production getting lesser. Now they expand to the financial situation in Singapore. So all the financial analysis, all these things, majority of them are being employed and production getting lesser and lesser, right? You can see the difference. That means there's an economic profiling of the country changing. Forever they will be changing, right? Internal forces, you look at the changes on organization strategy. Organization strategy for a company to develop the strategic objective is a must every year, every 3 years, every 7 years. Why? Because there is always changes. So they call it long-term and short-term strategic goal, right? So how are you going to change for this 1 year based on the procedure that you created? Is it can function well? Is it can so-called motivate the people well or not? Okay. Workforce changes, yes. Okay. If you are free, you walk around in Singapore, okay, the workforce changes, you cannot find, okay, Singaporean work in the construction side. Okay. There isn't much, maybe 5%, 10%. The rest are Malaysian, Myanmar, or Indian, Bangladeshi. So there is a workforce change. 30 years ago, 40 years ago, when I was young, I worked in the construction site. But today, you talk about Singaporeans who are 18, 20, 22 years old or 25 years old work in construction site. They tell you, you can dream only. We Singaporeans never work in this outside. All right. Okay, because of the economy change, right? And today you can look at all the equipment are very advanced. You talk about weaponry, military equipment. Now they call it a hypersonic bomb. Last time, where do you heard about hypersonic bomb? Okay, today you talk about drone. In Ukraine and Russia, they're flying their drone to destroy their countryside, their area. You see, last time when we talk about drone, the soldier drive the tank, go inside the enemy side and bomb them. Now no more. Now they use drone to fly over there, monitor which one is strategic location, they bomb them using the drone to fight against the enemy. So you can see there's a lot of changes in terms of design, in terms of concept, in terms of management, right? So the employee attitude also changed. Okay, you think about Singapore. Singapore maybe now about 70–80% are all university graduate. Okay, last time when you are a university graduate in Singapore 30 years ago, wow, people respect you. Wow, you are good. You graduated so good qualification. Now you tell them you are graduate from a university. I said, very common. Don't come and show me all this. But if you tell people that at this stage, you say that, okay, I have a master degree. People also look at you, smile, just walk away. Because why? Master also Singapore, many of them. But now you talk about PhD, yes. Okay, Singapore, not many. But in 10 years, 20 years now, you're going to see a lot of doctor. So what is the market? What is the attitude of the people? Okay, in terms of internal force. You can see an engineer graduate with a PhD working as an engineer. You won't be surprised. In 20 years' time, you can see all this stuff happen. Just like myself, I'm a PhD holder. I also work hands-on everything. Okay, take note. The changes is very great in today's world. Okay, not like last time. Today's world is constantly changing, and we are exposed to the change. And in Singapore, a lot of people was thinking, how can we, as an ordinary citizen, adapt to these type of changes? Okay, you talk about study. 15 years, 20 years ago, when you study about this, some calculation, the formula, okay? At that time when I was studying, I had to memorize the formula by heart. Nowadays, you go to exam, no, they give you the formula, you can solve the problem, that's all. So today, we are talking about more on application. Yesterday, we were talking about memorization. It's very different, right? So the whole teaching strategy have changed. So do we change? Now you ask yourself, right? These are the things that you change. How can you foresee this type of change will carry you the next life, next 10 years or not? Okay, think about it. You are all graduate, you must think about this, because the situation is going to change greatly, I can tell you. Today changes will be more faster than 30 years ago, right? Okay, manager is a change agent. Okay, people, what do you mean by manager change as a change agent? You see here, people who act, okay, as catalysts and assume the responsibility of changing process, right? Like this, July the 3rd, okay, I'm going to one of the islands in Singapore because their company do chemical processing in terms of waste chemical. So I'm going there to be so-called as a consultant. Whether I can get the job, I don't know. I go and view their process, and finally I offer them a contract. If they engage me, I will become a change agent of that company. Okay, So this is where people like us with years of experience, with enough qualification to justify us as a consultant. Okay. Type of change agent: manager, internal entrepreneur, non-manager, change specialist. For example, you are an engineer, you can involve in all the changes as well in terms of technical aspect. Right? If you are an engineer, you look at your suppose that you are a mechanical engineer. So any mechanical process that need to change come to you. And an outside consultant, where you initiate the chain, you follow up the chain, you train the people of the chain, you follow up the process of changing, writing procedure, etc., etc. This is what I'm going to do in 3rd of July. If I go there, I successfully get the job. Okay. Okay, calm water metaphor is just an example. Okay, Lewin, another expert, a break in the organization equilibrium state. Unfreezing the status quo, that means you want to change, you unfreeze whatever situation you have, change to the new state, and refreezing the chain permanent. So that 3 words, okay, unfreezing the status quo. What you want to change, you have to convince the people, the process, whether it's inefficient or the process is really out of date, all this sort of thing. So as a chain manager, okay, you must know your system well. Then you can convince people to accept. That means you unfreeze the status quo. All right. So you change to a new state. How are you going to propose to the people the changing that is beneficial to the company, to the employee? For example, employee will learn a new skill, a new knowledge, okay? And refreezing, after you change already, how are you going to merge all the things into a system? That's how what I touch on, system theory, okay? The system will be permanent and everybody will know what to do, how to do, and who to report to, communication. So all these things become a very stable system. That's where calm water metaphor is all about. You change, but you don't disrupt the water movement. You change, everybody learn to accept that. That means there's no resistance. So the water, the water is very calm. All right. So do you have this type of technique, this type of knowledge to instigate the chain? Right? You ask yourself, why water? The lack of environment stability, predictability require the manager and organization to continue adapt. All right. So in this case, you can see that the environment is not healthy, business is going down, you know, the people are leaving. Then as a manager, how are you going to improve on all this sort of thing? Okay, take note. Oh. So you can see the chain process, unfreeze whatever system you have, look at it, improve on it, and conduct training, the system put in place, and everybody get used to it already. So the changing period is longer, all right, compared to unfreeze. So once they are trained, they are yet used to this chain system. They are so used to it already. Then later you become a system for your company. That means you refreeze the whole system. Do A from B to B. Okay, don't do A to C. Okay, this is unfreeze. The system is like that. Last time is A to C. All right, example. Oh. Okay, 3 categories of chain. Okay, one is a structural chain. Okay, work specialization, departmentalization, chain of command, span of control, centralization, formalization, job design, and actual structural design. All right. So you can see that the structural chain is affect the whole company as a whole. For example, now a company, okay, they are being buy over by a B company. So the B management will look into the whole process, the whole chain of command, span of control, whether to centralize or whether to decentralize. So the B company will look at all these things and say, okay, let's do a structural change for this company. And when you do a structural change, will that be affecting the employee? Okay, how many people are going to be retrenched or redeployed? Okay, and the number of people that they're going to redeploy, what sort of training are you going to provide to them? Okay, all these things play a very, very important part for the structural change, right? So you look at the technology, of course, today world technology keep on changing, but the change is significant or insignificant. Small change, just a department or section conduct the changes is good enough, but it's involve the whole company, then it's a very big changes. So the technology change because of technology change. Okay, like for example, now the electronic, what do you call ERP, electronic, what do you call purchasing system, right? Okay, today, last time we use order material from your warehouse, okay, from your warehouse to the production site. You issue so-called the invoices, or rather the gate pass. You ask them to deliver to this place using paper. Nowadays, no need already. You use what? Electronic. Okay. You use resource material, sorry, ERP, resource procurement, electronic resource procurement. So you just go to the computer, type this something, this the requirement, you send to your supplier. Supplier know about it, you will send the raw material to your factory to be produced. So these are all the technology chain as is today. Okay, like for example, now we use in terms of this resource planning, we call it SAC R1, R2, all these things coming in. All right. Third, the people. Okay, as the economy grow and people can be affordable. All right, like Singapore, 10 years ago, we are considered the third world country, just like Myanmar, just like India. But now today, everyone in the world, they rate us as first world country. That means your expectation, your system, the economy is very different already. So this will affect the people behavior, people attitude, and the perception of Singaporean behavior. So how, as a company, okay, the company will be there, but the way that they produce, the way that we do things is totally different from 15, 20 years ago. That is where the changes is required. Okay, like today, you work as a technician, okay? Your needed qualification is only vocational skill requirement 15, 20 years ago. Today, you want to work as a technician, you must have a diploma in a specific field, like for example, electrical, mechanical. So the whole ball game of the expectation is changing, right? So with the diploma higher, then people expect higher salary compared to last time. So although the job function is still the same, but their expectation, because of their higher education, they want to pay more. So today in Singapore, technician, most of them are diploma holder, no more those vocational skill certificate anymore. Okay, and they expect this group of people to be paid higher compared to 15 years ago or 20 years ago. So this is where all the changes going to happen. Okay, so if you are the management of the company, how are you going to cater for this? I mean, what is your strategic plan to cater for these changes? Right? So you have to think about it if you run a company. Okay. Oh, I already stated already. Don't want to talk about it. Resistant. A lot of people like to resist because especially the old people. Oh, why? Because old people, they get used to the habit that they every day do ABC. One day, the new habit come in, they said ACB. Can you do ACB? The old people cannot adjust. Okay, that's why people resist change. All right, why people resist change? Because of this problem. Right, the ambiguity and uncertainty that change introduced, the comfort of old habit. That's what I told you. Right. So the change, when you initiate the change, you must really have a briefing to the employee, to all employees, that this change is beneficial to you, beneficial to the company, and overall the company will make more profit. And you must be able to convince them before you initiate the change. Because if you can't convince them, okay, in the end, you confuse them. Once you confuse them, the whole organization go down the drain. You understand what I mean, right? So a concern over personal loss of status, money, authority, and friendship, and personal convenience. This is what I'm trying to say. When you change, does it affect the employee? Does it affect their income? Does it affect the friendship? Because the time you work in A department, we are friends, but now you transfer to B department. Well, the D department demand A department, everything have to give it to them. So relationship is a problem. So do you see all these things, right? The perception that change is incompatible with the goal and interest of the organization. So also personal goal. So when this incompatibility is there, as a consultant, as a change manager, how are you going to address this situation when time comes, right? Okay, unfreezing, okay, helping employee to accept change, give reason, empathetic, and communicate clearly. Changing, explain the benefit, get input, watch the timing, job security, provide training, right? Show top management support, publicize successes, okay? Make me course correction, and etc. Right? So this is where, if you are the change manager, you have to initiate all these things. You have to think carefully before you initiate the change. Okay? Stimulation, innovation, stimulating innovation. So creativity, the ability to combine idea in a unique way to make an unusual association. Innovation, turn the outcome of the creative process into a useful product, right? Okay. System view, talk about input, transformation, and your output. That's where the innovative product is all about. The work method have to change. Okay, this is where you say you want to change, then you create an individual group and organization to concentrate on the change environment, process, and situation. And finally, you produce a product. Of course, end of the day, the employee must be happy. If the employee not happy, you change the product to a new product, and an employee is not happy because they are going to spend more time during the work, but they are not paid accordingly, then the employee one by one will resign. And even you change already, you have a new innovative product, but you cannot have the employee to work in the environment, also your company will fail. All right, take note. Okay, creating a right environment for innovation. Okay, first one is structural variable, adopt the organic structure, make available plentiful of resources, engage in frequent inter-unit communication, minimize extreme time pressure on creative activity, provide explicit support. So this one is very important. Provide explicit support is a must if you were to do some structural change, right? Okay. Creating right environment for innovation. Okay. Cultural variable. Okay. And for example, understanding each other before you change. Okay. Rather than you change, then you begin to query about all this sort of thing. So you must accept, as a member of the chain community, you must accept ambiguity. You must tolerate the impractical. In case the chain is not so foolproof, you may find that a lot of impracticality is there, right? Have low control, external control, tolerate risk-taking, tolerate risk conflict, focus on end rather than means, right? Develop an open system focus and provide for positive feedback. Then the environment will be there for you to do the innovation, right? So human variable is always the case when it comes to right environment for innovation. Okay, human variable, you have to take care of their training, okay, job security, and encourage people to be the champion of the chain, right? Can be as a group, can be an individual, can be a department level, right? You know. Okay, issue in managing changes. Changing organization culture. Culture are naturally resistant to change. Okay, like you are coming from another country, then you want to work in Singapore. That means your country culture. Okay, you want to change to Singapore culture. Sometimes it's very difficult. Okay, it takes time. It's not say that cannot, but it takes time to change. All right, so organization must understand this, right? Condition that help cultural change. Take for example, dramatic crisis. Of course, there are crises. People don't mind to work because they have no money. Chain of leadership. How good is the leadership? Okay, can the leadership be very strict or very relaxed? Young and flexible and small organization and weak organization culture. So your organization culture is not so strong. That means different races can work in a company. You have a so-called diversity culture here, but you cannot control them. Gone. Okay. Okay, tip. Okay. Set the tone through management behavior. Of course, when you start the culture, when you start the changes, you must know what is the tone of the company behavior, right? What do you want for them? Create new stories, simple and richer to replace the current one involved, right? So you must change, concept of change must be there and always must be trained and informed, right? Select and promote and support employee. We adapt to the new value, definitely. Okay, redesign specialization process, of course. When you change, you need to change the whole system. You need to change the procedure, etc. Okay, take note. Okay, reward system also change based on the HR input. Okay, your human resource managers should look at this new set of so-called target or KPI. Okay, replace unwritten norm with formal rule. Okay, this is one of the things that you must do. Okay, the formal rule is by verbal. Now no more. Whatever rule you enforce is black and white, a system, procedure there for you to follow. Shake up the current culture. Of course, when you do the transfer of internal reorganization, you have to consider all these things. Work to get peer group consensus. Of course, that means your leadership is very important. If your leadership is lousy, you cannot get the consensus. The whole chain culture will fail. All right. So whenever change, there must be a leader that help the organization to run through the process and finally achieve what the company wants. Okay. Oh, so handling employee stress, of course, this one HR will do. Okay, when the changes is too stressful for the employee, here to sound an alarm, to get medical help, to get psychological help, right? Functional also the same. Okay, so you can see causes of factor because of stress, because of change. Your personal factor will change, your character, your habit all will change, and your job also change. Then combined together will become a stress. How are you going to release the stress? All right. So the manager must know how to organize this stress release program for the employee. Right. Okay. You can see all these things: behavior, physical, psychological. Okay. So all these things will affect when you go through a change process. So how are you going to cure these people like that? So HR have to come to play. Maybe you require outside counseling to come in, counselor to help the employee to relieve their stress, all this sort of thing. Okay. So you can see that reducing stress, engage in proper employee selection, match employee ability to job requirement, use realistic job review to reduce ambiguity. That means your job description must be there. Organizing, improve on the communication, planning, and job redesign, because you use a new machinery. You have to do redesign, provide counseling, as I say, offer time planning management assistance. See, so you initiate the change, there will be a lot of things to do. Like now, I am on July 3rd, I'm going there. If I got a job, I'm going to be having a lot of headache, because a lot of things I need to do. Okay. Again, you change, right? So the mistake you make, I leave it to you to read. I've gone through all this already. Okay. Making change happen, you embrace the change, communicate, encourage, and also remove those who resist and cannot be changed. That means terminate their service, especially the senior citizen. In Singapore, always like that. Old people go first. Okay. So characteristic of change capable organization will be link the present to future, make learning a way of life, actively support, encourage day-to-day operation or improvement and changes, encourage diversity, okay, encourage people with some kind of maverick character so that they can stir up the whole organization, shelter, breakthrough, integrate technology, and build and deepen trust. And this one is very important, the last one. Build and deepen trust. All right, the company must do that, not the employee do, right? Okay. Any question? Am I going too fast?
No, sir. Good to go.
Okay. So a question will be given to you by tomorrow morning. All right. So you stay at home, do your assignment. Please do your research. All right. Okay. So Wednesday, Thursday, I will see you again. Okay. So now I'm going to Nanyang to collect your exam paper. I have to mark the paper. All right. So no question. Shall we end the meeting? Discussion? Hello?
Sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir, no question, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Take care.
Yes.
Okay.